Why does it seem like people can't get jobs as easily as they could just a few years ago? I think the jobs posted are legit, it's just that they get high volumes of candidates, or the ones that get lower volumes might be getting higher quality candidates. I've been looking for a new job since January, and since then I've really 3 more promising possibilities, 2 of which ended in rejection, 1 of which I rejected the interview offer as they weren't forthcoming with what I felt was basic information for a 96 km drive for the interview. 10 or more applications? For me, 100 applications is usually just the beginning. Now hiring is a way to advertise the company and make them seem healthy and legit. They aren't actually hiring and sell your info from the application. You know how baby boomers say, just go hand someone your resume. The reason they say that is because that worked until very recently. I am 38 and landed my first job post-college that way. I walked in and talked to the owner, sent a handwritten thank you letter after the interview, etc. It was a much more personal experience. It wouldn't work today, but it absolutely worked 15 years ago. I think it was easier to get job interviews back when we had to apply in person or send in applications. Nowadays, it's all online, so they sift through so many more applications. They do it using bots, so your application may never be seen by a human who would have wanted you had they ever met you or seen the application. The best bet is to network or try to apply in person, so the person knows they want you and will keep an eye out for your application. I think part of it is a big shift to using recruiters. So sending in a job application is not generally how companies hire anymore. They will hire a recruiter who will find people, and then they'll interview those. Obviously there are some problems there too, but I've found a lot more success talking to recruiters and getting your resume in front of them than I have from sending applications. Last job I got from sending in an application was 10-15 years ago, and the 4 I've gotten more recently have all been from a recruiter. I'm not sure though why companies still post on those job sites and keep applications open on their website when they don't seem to look at them. Depends where you are. The world is a big place and the employment situation varies country to country, state to state and city to city. We can hardly answer your question if we don't know where you are. It's macroeconomics. Interest rates are still high, therefore companies are still less likely to spend money. Employees are one of the largest expenses. It's important to note that macroeconomic forces have a lot of inertia, so unemployment tends to slowly rise or remain flat when interest rates are high. Eventually, some large company will go under or inflation will hit its target rate and the Fed will start lowering interest rates. The market is not really healthy until interest rates go back down. Did it used to be easy? I've always had trouble finding jobs. It takes me months between jobs to find a new one. Thankfully, I've been at my current job for almost 5 years ago. I haven't had to job search for a while, but getting a job when you don't already have an in has always been hard. I believe this is a real thing. There are more ghost positions out there, no intent to actually fill the position. Companies seem to be in flux internally and keep changing their minds. Bad behavior on all sides. I think some of it is that there's such a mix of cultures in most companies that there is no STD for professional behavior anymore. Companies ghost candidates who ghost companies. Whoever's writing the position descriptions and designing the application process seem to have no concept of appropriateness. Companies aren't held accountable for their hiring processes. And then there's AI. Generative AI makes it easier to bulk apply, and AI makes it easier to screen out applicants. And nobody's checking to see if AI is making good decisions in either case. Quite frankly, I'm surprised anybody's getting hired today. Everyone is probably ignoring the jobs they'd work full-time in and still not make a livable wage and applying for jobs that will actually pay their rent. Employers could be picky because they know there are a lot of people who want a job and deny anyone who has potential in order to wait for the right fit. The online application system, even for basic retail jobs, has gotten ridiculous. It took me an hour to apply for a position at the local Macy's at the mall. The site was so broken I had to use my phone and my laptop for different sections. I had to record voice responses for the last 5 questions like no wonder I got the job, who else has time for all this helmo? Because, at least in my city now, there are teams dedicated to getting rid of well-paid people. So people get shit canned. Then you are actually left with people who are fine with making the worst pay and can't speak English. The English thing is fine if they try. But around here we have 50-year opt Filipino people who don't and act like it's such a big deal to learn the local language after 30 years. Is this really new? Could people who were looking for work in say 2015 to 2019 tell us how easy or hard it was to find a job? I'm a boomer. I graduated in 1981, we had a recession and 7 unemployment. I never found a job, started playing music full-time and eventually became an agent. but talk to anyone under 30 and they believe I graduated college, got a great paying job, and could afford to buy a house the next year. We're at the lowest unemployment rate of pretty much any time in our history, which means that there aren't a lot of jobs left to take. A lot of companies have been making big pushes to keep staff, so incentives and pay have been improving, convincing people to stay at the companies they are at. The unfortunate catch-22 is that when there's low unemployment, it means that whoever is left tends to be the bottom of the barrel, so the ones that are good or new to the market get drowned out by their applications. I'm in manufacturing and we do a lot of hiring. For each one role we have open, we'll get hundreds of applicants, 99 of which are so far off base that we have to wonder if they are even applying for the correct position. Because they are spamming the open positions, we may end up accidentally missing a good candidate because of the hundreds of resumes to go through. Then we're lucky if they show up on day 2. Remote work. The job market is now globally. You used to be competing against people who lived by you. Now you are competing with the whole world. Even if your specific field is not remote, there is still an impact from other fields that are. Well, there are plenty of jobs available, the ones very few are trained for. Plumbers, bus drivers, electricians, production workers, mechanics, welders, machinists. I'm in NE, Wisconsin, and if you need work, there are so many openings for these positions it's hard to believe. The problem? It's hard work, and we raised 2 generations to be tech-savvy or work in finance. We have plenty of people who can master technology but can't make a break rotor. Depends. Engineering, nursing, other STEM positions are having difficulty finding candidates and snatching them up where they can. Be aware that many jobs are going away permanently due to automation. Drivers of any kind, line workers, paralegal, and many more are going away. Eventually, many will have to look outside of work to find purpose. My husband's company is Suicide and Crises Prevention and Intervention. They have so many openings, they can't fill them fast enough. I feel like even a few years ago it was very challenging to get a job. I applied to 51 jobs back in 2018 to 2019, and I got the job because I interned at the hospital I applied to and they finally had an opening. If I didn't have that connection, I don't think I would gotten it. I also was highly recommended and have an Ivy League degree, so it's not like anything was glaringly wrong with my job history or background check. These days it's way more about who you know.